Today we talk about rage. When you just can't take it anymore and you snap, you're rageful. Usually in these moments, we kick the wall, punch our bed, swear and curse the world for our misfortune. Yeah! Curse you! I hate you! I'm just kidding. I'm not actually angry. It actually goes much deeper than that, though. It's not just anger. Being enraged is kind of like a metaphor for any emotion that stops us from making rational decisions and makes us act impulsively. Some people might say, oh, he's triggered. Triggered is a good word for what I'm describing. I experienced this last week when my mother called me at bedtime. Like I'd set a time for myself, I'm gonna sleep now. And as I said, I'm gonna sleep now, she called me. And during the call, I just got more and more angry. And by the end of it, I was throwing a fit like a little kid. I was swearing, punching my bed. I actually heard it like crack when I punched it and shit. And yeah, my grandparents had to come in and be like, Adrian, what the hell? What are you doing? Anyway, when they left, I kind of got rageful again. And this time, I was about to scratch my face. It got that bad. And that's when I knew I had to stop. There's research that's been done regarding ranting, screaming out your feelings, typing it out on a keyboard, and what it does for you. Is it good for you? The answer is no. Ranting is not actually good for you. In the short term, releases your anger. It releases whatever weird pent-up emotion you have. But in the long term, it actually brings more of that emotion into your life. It makes you more upset with the world, okay? So you rant more and more and more, and it just gets worse and worse and worse. And this is kind of what was happening last week. I never used to rant. I never used to express my emotions like that. And a very long time ago, I was like, you know what? Fuck! And I actually started swearing. I started expressing my anger, everything, punching stuff. And every single time I did that, it actually got a little stronger, a little worse. And I kind of liked the feeling, okay? Think about that. The feeling of being in rage is actually nice. It feels good. It feels like you're letting something go, you're releasing. But it brings more of that into your life, more rage. You start to destroy things more and more, like that bed, like relationships, and even yourself. Because whether we like to admit it or not, being triggered happens inside here as well. That's where it starts. And when it starts like that, it can just keep growing until it comes out. And then it keeps growing and more and more and more until you have a big flaming pile of shit to deal with. And yeah, it's a lot if you don't deal with that stuff. Last week, when I was about to scratch my face and I was literally like pulling it down when I stopped, right? I was like, no, this isn't it. This is not it. Thank goodness for my grandparents actually coming in and saying, what are you doing? Don't break our house, because it gave me a little more foresight. It gave me a pause to think about what was happening. And I was actually able to remedy my rage. Rage starts inside and you can feel it. It's a whirlwind that just gets bigger and bigger until you have to let it out, right? But you can change that with just a bit of effort. You can sit yourself down in your mind and say, stop, sit down, and you allow yourself to cry or something. I don't know, you just stop and you tell yourself, hey, this is not right. This is getting out of hand. Okay, we can't deal with this anymore. At least that's what I told myself last week. I can't do this anymore. I'm literally breaking the house, And then you take responsibility. That's the most important step. You take responsibility right there and then and be like, this is my fault. I feel like this because of me. I did not have enough self-confidence, self-belief, and self-respect to tell my mom, hey, I want to sleep now. It's not a very good time. Thanks for calling and all, but it's bedtime. You know, I could have just said that in the beginning and went to bed, but I didn't. And so I was a failure that day. Well, I wasn't a failure, but I'd failed that day. Okay, and I had to tell myself that and sit myself down. That's harder than just screaming and shouting and bashing the windows. But when you do that, you just respect yourself more. I'm not gonna lie. Respect yourself more, and you prevent yourself from being in the state of rage. And contrary to ranting, contrary to actually letting it out, it happens less and less over time. Because this is something we like to call self-regulation. Having an outlet for your emotions only works if you give them awareness. All right? Being in a state of rage takes that awareness away. There's no point. There's no point in ranting. You don't rant. There's no point in covering, suppressing your emotions with these actions. That's practically what's happening. You're not acknowledging it, so it kind of like fights back. It comes out. And just acknowledging it, saying, hey, you're there. I see you. It's your fault. It's okay. I understand. It's okay right now. We can get through this. We made a mistake and we'll get through this. If you can't do that, if you don't have that awareness, you cannot have a good time. Well, you might have a good time, but you won't. It'll be so sporadic. You'll be so chaotic. You don't have control. You're not grounded if you don't have that awareness of yourself and your emotions to say it's okay, we move on. So I told myself it's okay, we move on. You're not a failure, but you've definitely failed today. And a bit somberly, I slept. I slept that night. Instead of, being restless at night because I didn't want to face those emotions. Because I would have been very restless if I didn't say that it was my fault. I wouldn't have slept. And that would have been even more ironic. Instead, however, I decided to bite the bullet. I don't know if that's the saying, but I decided to do the right thing for myself. And you know what? I respect myself for that. So I'm very glad I did. Anyway, yeah, that's my story. I hope you got some information about rage and being triggered and all that. There is more about that I could say, but it's a lot more of a big topic. It's a lot bigger of a topic. So later on. For now, thanks for watching to the end. This is pretty fun to make, and I'll see you in the next one. In fact, let me tell you about the next one. The next one is about mistakes, how to bounce back, and why you make them, and why they linger a lot of the time. Because you have to move on. They're actually quite similar to getting triggered. And we'll look at that in the next one. See you there.